It is the night of April 11th, 1945. In a wooden barracks in southern Japan, the air is heavy. It smells of high-octane aviation fuel. It smells of damp earth and stale tobacco. And underneath it all, the faint, sweet scent of cherry blossoms coming from the trees outside. Inside, a 23-year-old student is sitting on his cot. His name is Toshio. He is holding a fountain pen in his hand. He is staring at a blank sheet of paper. The room is quiet, except for the sound of other men breathing or turning in their sleep. Toshio is not sick. He is not injured. His heart is beating steadily in his chest. But he knows, with absolute certainty, that he will not see the sun go down tomorrow. He is not waiting for a battle. He is waiting for an appointment. He has been selected for the Special Attack Corps. The world knows them as Kamikaze, the divine wind. But sitting there in the dim light, Toshio doesn't feel like a wind. He feels like exactly what he is: a boy who loves reading German philosophy, a boy who loves playing tennis, a boy who is desperately in love with a girl named Chieko. He has 1 hour left to write to her. 1 hour to put a lifetime of love onto a single page. He needs to tell her to live. He needs to tell her to be happy. And the hardest part is that he needs to ask her to forget him. Welcome to the paper archive. We are here to pick up the pieces of history that others have walked past. We have stood on the battlefields of the Civil War with Major Sullivan Ballou. We have sat in the quiet luxury of the Titanic with Alexander Holverson. We have learned that history is not about the dates or the maps. It is about the silence left behind when the writing stops. Today we are traveling to the edge of the abyss. We are going to the end of the Second World War, to a time when desperation turned men into weapons. To understand the letter Toshio wrote, you have to understand the machine he was going to fly. It wasn't a normal plane. It was a nightmare built from wood and steel. The Japanese called it the Oka. It translates to cherry blossom, a beautiful name for a coffin. The Americans called it the Baka bomb, the idiot bomb. It was a small rocket-powered glider. It was barely big enough for a man to squeeze his shoulders inside. In the nose, it carried over a ton of explosives. It had no landing gear. It had no escape hatch. It had no parachute. Once the pilot climbed in and the canopy was bolted shut from the outside, there was only one way out: forward. Toshio wasn't supposed to fight with it. He was supposed to become it. He was the guidance system for a cruise missile. Imagine the weight of that. Sitting in the mess hall eating your rice, knowing that your body is just a component of a machine. Knowing that your death is not a risk of war, it is the objective of war. It is easy to look back at history and see these pilots as fanatics. We imagine them screaming. We imagine them wanting to die. But look at the photograph of Toshio Anazawa. He wears round, wire-rimmed glasses. He has a soft, intelligent face. He looks like a librarian. He looks like someone you would sit next to in a coffee shop on a rainy afternoon. Before the war, he was a student at Chuo University in Tokyo. He wasn't thinking about the empire. He was thinking about books, and he was thinking about Chieko. They were engaged. They had a future planned, a small house, children, a life of quiet normalcy. But the war took everything. It took his education. It took his future. And now, on this dark night in April, it was about to take his life. He sat there amidst the quiet of the barracks, and he tried to find the words to say goodbye. He couldn't write about the terror. The military censors were watching. They would burn any letter that showed fear or doubt. He had to write within the lines. He had to be a brave soldier. The letter begins formally. He writes about duty. He writes that he is smiling as he goes. He writes the words the uniform requires him to write. But then the soldier fades away. The ink changes. The boyfriend steps forward. He writes to her, "I feel like I have said everything I wanted to say, but now that the time has come, I feel there is something missing." Isn't that always the way? We always think we have time. We think we will say, "I love you" tomorrow, and then suddenly there are no more tomorrows. He stops writing about the war. He starts writing about them. He tries to hold on to the sensory details of their relationship, the feeling of being alive. He writes, "Do you remember when we walked together by the river? The wind was cold that day." He isn't thinking about the American fleet. He is thinking about the wind on her face. He is remembering the sound of her footsteps beside him on the gravel. He is anchoring himself to the earth one last time. Then he mentions a specific object, a scarf. Chieko had knitted him a wool scarf to keep him warm. She had poured her love into every stitch. Toshio tells her, "I will wear the scarf you knitted for me. It will be with me until the end." Pause for a moment and see that. The next morning, he would climb into a rocket. He would fly at 500 miles per hour into a wall of steel and fire. But tucked inside his flight suit, against his neck, was that soft wool. A final touch of her. A piece of home going with him into the fire. Then comes the hardest part of the letter, the part that breaks you. Toshio knew that for Chieko to survive this, she had to let him go. She was young. She had a whole life ahead of her. He couldn't let his ghost haunt her forever. He loved her too much to be the reason she was sad for the rest of her life. So he makes the ultimate sacrifice. He writes, "Please forget about me. Live a long and happy life. This is my only wish. Forget me." It is the ultimate act of love. To love someone so much that you ask them to erase you, to ask them to be happy without you. He finishes the letter. He folds the paper. He puts it in an envelope. And just like that, Toshio Anazawa cuts his last tie to the future. The sun rises. It is April 12th. The airfield is busy. Toshio puts on his flight suit. He wraps the blue scarf around his neck. He climbs into the belly of the bomber that will carry his rocket. They fly south. For hours they fly over the endless blue ocean. Inside the plane, it is loud and cold. Toshio sits there, feeling the vibration, touching the scarf. They reach Okinawa. The sky turns black with smoke. The Americans are shooting everything they have. It is time. Toshio crawls down into the Oka. He squeezes into the tiny cockpit. The clamps are released. He drops. For a moment, it is silence. Just the wind rushing over the wooden wings. Then he flips the switch. Ignition. The rockets light up behind him. He is slammed back into his seat. The speed is incredible. The vibration is so strong he can barely see. The ocean rushes up to meet him. He aims for a ship. He doesn't feel like a hero. He is just a boy, wearing a scarf, missing his girl. And then, darkness. Toshio Anazawa died that day, but his letter survived, and Chieko survived. She read his request, "Please forget about me." But she didn't. She couldn't. She lived a long life just as he asked. She eventually married. She had a family. But she kept the letter, and she kept his photograph. The one with the round glasses.
Until she was an old woman, she kept the story of the boy who loved philosophy and tennis. The boy who became a cherry blossom. And that is why we are here. Sullivan Ballou, Alexander Holverson, Toshio Anazawa. Different wars, different sides, different languages, but the heart is always the same. It is just a person holding a pen, trying to say I love you before the light goes out. If you believe these stories need to be remembered, you are in the right place. We are slowly building a library of lost voices. Join us and help us keep the papers safe until the next letter is found.